So this is the lecture on Seamus Heaney's The Tollund Man. So first of all, please be sure to listen to Seamus Heaney read The Tollund Man. There is a link for you to listen to the poet reading this. And I think that is especially important because Heaney has a Northern Irish accent, so you can hear sound connections when he's reading the poem that my accent won't do. I want to, of course, discuss the poem and give you a little background that might be helpful. Then I want to move on to a few technical aspects of the poem. There are so many here that it could be pretty exhaustive to discuss them all, but we are going to look at the whole poem, and I'm going to draw out several technical aspects. And then, of course, a character study of the Tollund Man, the speaker, and the Irish troubles. So the first thing I want us to look at is the Tollund Man is a bog body. And what I've done here is I've given you from the Encyclopedia Britannica, written by the editors, an entire section on bog bodies. Basically, these are bodies that are preserved in peat bogs in England, Ireland, Northern Europe. The Tollund Man he was found in Denmark. And there are various reasons why they are so well preserved. And the peat bog bodies are incredibly well preserved to the point that we know what Tollund Man's last meal was. So the contents of his stomach were still available to us. His brain completely intact. You can see the beard stubble on his face. In fact, when the three people that initially found the Tollund Man body, they assumed he was a murder victim. They didn't realize that his body has been dated to 2,300 years ago, but it was so well preserved that they actually called the police because they thought they had come across a murder scene. So please read the Encyclopedia Britannica, all the information on the bog bodies. There's also a link here that you can copy and paste, or however you want to do that if you're so inclined. I've given you the entire piece though. The most famous bog body is the Tollund Man. This is and by this I'm talking about this image here, is a visual forensic representation in 3D of what the Tollund Man would look like. So he was incredibly well preserved to the point where they could recreate him in such a distinct and visually evocative manner. He was discovered in 1950 by two brothers and one of their wives. And they were in the nearby village of Tollund. That's why, obviously, he's called Tollund Man. And when he was discovered, he was wearing a belt, a very odd cap, and you can see it here in this picture. And nothing else other than he had kind of like a weird necklace as well as a kind of like a leather noose around his neck, which is the thing that initially appeared to kill him, and they have discovered it did indeed. He lived 2,300 years ago, so he is from the Iron Age. So scholars all tend to agree that the Tollund Man's killing was some kind of ritual sacrifice, perhaps a fertility offering. Shortly after Tollund Man was discovered, the detective in charge, because remember they initially thought it was a missing persons or a murder investigation, he actually called an archaeology professor at the University of Aarhus, which is the nearest city, and Peter Wilhelm Glob came out and ascertained that it was a bog body, and he published his book, The Bog People, in 1965. This publication came to the attention of Seamus Heaney, And Seamus Heaney became, I guess, sort of like obsessed with the humanity of the bog bodies and the sacrificial way that they died. Glob believed that the Tollund Man and most of the other bog bodies were sacrificed to an Earth Mother goddess in order to ensure a good crop. And this is a quote from Heaney regarding kind of like his initial reaction or interest to the bog bodies. I was chiefly concerned with preserved bodies of men and women found in the bogs. The author, and he means Glob, argues convincingly that a number of these, and in particular the Tollund Man, were ritual sacrifices of the Mother Goddess, who needed a new bridegroom each winter to bed with her in her sacred place, the bog, to ensure the renewal and fertility of the land come spring. The unforgettable photographs of these victims blended in my mind with photographs of atrocities past and present in the long rites of Irish political and religious struggles. So somehow or in some manner, for Heaney, this kind of ritualized religious sacrifice of the bog bodies became very merged and very connected in his mind to photographs of the Irish Troubles. The Irish Troubles refer to an ethno-nationalist conflict that raged in Northern Ireland beginning in about 1968 and ending in around 1998. It's incredibly complicated. Um, I don't want to simplify it too much, but Northern Ireland was and continues to be divided between Catholics and Protestants. So Heaney mentions four brothers, and he's referring to four Catholic brothers who were massacred by Protestant paramilitaries. Their bodies were dragged along the rail lines. So if you consider the ending of this poem, Heaney is struck by kind of like his own irony that one day he hopes to be out there in Denmark, where he wants to view the Tollund Man, where men were once slaughtered in the name of a belief. And he calls this the old man killing parishes, which really mirrors what was happening routinely during the Irish Troubles in Northern Ireland, sometimes called Ulster. So I will feel lost, unhappy, and at home. So he's going to feel at home because he's linking these sacrifices of the peat bog bodies to the Irish Troubles. To look at technical aspects, I've highlighted similar sounds here in this section with similar colors. This is, and his lines are really short, so there is also a lot of internal rhyme that I look at, I think on the following slide, and I underline it, I believe. So you'll notice in the green I have the I sound, I, mild, I as in eyelids. The R sounds are, brown, E and C and peat, I again in by, and a lot of the R sounds, our house, brown, country, near, where, gruel, winter, for, girdle, bride, and groom. They seem like they're spaced out, but when you listen to Heaney, you can really hear the musicality in this piece. And again, we build in that musicality with a repetition of a sound. Here you'll see I've, again, continued, I try to stay with the same color, so there's a lot of R's throughout this poem, so I continue highlighting those. Here we see some T's and N sounds, and also a lot of internal and like rhyme within lines, so tightened, opened, those trove, combed, workings, reposes our house. Um, and I cannot do this poem justice reading it. I think it really needs to be read by Seamus Heaney. But she tightened her torque on him and opened her fen, those dark juices working him to a saint's kept body. So, and when he reads it, you can really hear all the work that went into choosing these words. And again, here I've done the same. I've underlined internal rhymes um, or end rhymes. I've highlighted, like, again, all the R's. The R's are really consistent throughout this poem. And also I've highlighted some of the C sounds. So just so you can really kind of see what's happening technically in this poem. And in this last section, I really worked on underlining all of this internal and incredible rhyming that's going on that is consistent throughout the poem. And you can really hear it when Heaney is reading it. So shifting from technical to character study, um, the Tollund Man is an incredibly thorough character study. Um, we know right down to his final meal. He wants us to more than see him, and he completely describes him. But what he wants us to really see is the way of his death. And he almost proposes it in like romantic and horrific terms. So the Tollund Man's life is somehow made unimportant and replaced by only the manner of his death, as like this bridegroom, this sacrifice, as expendable, as something believed to be necessary, but wholly unnecessary, in that it doesn't matter how many people you kill, it's not going to actually make you have a better crop. And of course, on the flip side, we have this character study, or this mirroring effect, with more the troubles than the actual speaker. So most importantly, Heaney links the Tollund Man to the troubles of North Ireland. So the characters, Tollund Man, the speaker, and the political and religious struggles of Northern Ireland meet. What I think is really telling is where the Tollund Man is preserved as if he were a saint. The Catholic, the four brothers, are discarded. Their bodies are unrecognizable. Their teeth were completely annihilated. Um, they they were ripped apart, and even that line, broken and flecking the sleepers. So it's really interesting to me that the Tollund Man there's this preservation with his kind of sacrifice, but the loss of the Catholic and the Protestant people in this long struggle between them in Northern Ireland, they seem unpreserved in some way. So again, I do really look forward to reading your poems, and I do hope that you'll embrace some of Christian Book's rules. Perhaps not all of them. I'm quite fond of similes. And I hope that Kevin Clark's article, Our Chapter 3, was really helpful for you. And I hope that you enjoyed these 3 really wonderful poems, and I hope that they have given you some ideas of what to do in your own work. Okay, thank you very much.